I want to bring in now criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno. So, David, you know, it's very interesting. The jury had a couple of questions shortly before this verdict came down. They asked what was the definition of wrongfulness. They asked, are we to hold someone that's mentally ill to the same definition legally? Based on those questions and this outcome, what can you glean from their thought process?
Well, I'll tell you what, when the questions came out, I think most of us thought they were pro-defense questions. When they're asking about the difference and should we hold a mentally ill person different than a regular person, when it came out. But I have to caution everybody every single time we get questions. Because as a former homicide prosecutor myself, being in the courtroom on multiple homicide trials, you never know how many people, how many of the jurors actually have the question. It could be one single person that maybe be deadlocked. It could be the majority or half. You just never know. So oftentimes when we get these questions, we look into it a little too much to determine what this jury is thinking. But oftentimes it could be as little as one. You know, in the end, this is a quick verdict, quicker than most of us thought it would be. And they came back resounding guilty on all counts. So I think the speed of the verdict says a lot to me as to what that jury thought in there. It didn't take them very long to come to this decision.
Yeah, and so as we've been reporting here on CourtTV extensively, the defendant here claimed the insanity defense. So his team would have had to prove that, number one, he was insane, and number two, he didn't know what he was doing was wrong because he was insane or couldn't conform his conduct to what was appropriate behavior. Where do you think that the defense team really fell short in achieving their goal?
Sure. I think it's exactly, look, I thought this could go either way. I thought it could be maybe not guilty by reason of insanity because of the history. I mean, this defendant clearly had problems. There was no dispute that he had schizophrenia. The state didn't call one single expert on the issue, and there was a history there that we all know about that was very troubling. But on the flip side, and the reason I think this jury came back guilty, is the actions of the defendant on that particular day itself. Because he had to take a number of steps that were goal-directed, goal-driven. And I say that one of my experts, Dr. Daniel Greenfield, who testified for me on a similar case, basically instructed and taught the jury this, that look, you just break it down step by step. Look at all the decisions that the individual had to make. And I think the thing that really hammered this thing home for the prosecutor was that he fled, that he left, that he took steps to cover up, that there was a manhunt, that he changed. I mean, look at the post-conduct decisions that this individual made that was goal-directed about how he was going to try to avoid apprehension. And when you want to talk about whether or not someone understands right from wrong, I mean, he wasn't found in the bathroom bathing in the sink or the toilet. He was found hiding. And I think in the end, that's what hammered this thing home for the prosecutor to convince this jury unanimously that this individual was not insane, that he understood right from wrong at the time of the murders. And that is why they came back guilty.
Yeah, and that he fled because he knew what he did was wrong.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno, for that analysis. Still a lot more ahead here on CourtTV.